Welcome to another explainer in our Fiqh for Economists series. You know that feeling, right? You just made a deal and you instantly wish you had an undo button? Well, in Islamic finance, you often do. Today, we're going to dive into this really cool concept called options, or Khiyār. It's a whole set of principles built to make sure every transaction is fair and square.
So what exactly is Khiyār? At its heart, it's pretty simple. It's the right to choose. It's this mechanism baked right into Islamic commercial law to make sure that everyone involved in a contract is on the same page and genuinely consents. Think of it like a safety net, making sure that when you say yes to a deal, you're doing it with total confidence, not because you felt pressured.
All right, here's what we've got on tap. We'll kick things off with the big idea behind this power of choice. Then we'll walk through a whole transaction, from the moment you shake hands to having a cooling off period and even what happens after you've bought something. We'll see how these ancient ideas are super relevant to your online shopping today, and then we'll wrap it all up with a quick quiz to see what you've learned. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, the power of choice. Let's really get into why these options matter so much. This isn't just some dry legal point. It's all about building an ethical and trustworthy market. And this is the wisdom behind it. The whole point of Khiyār is to guarantee fairness, right? It makes sure everyone is genuinely happy with the deal. That's ridha. It's also designed to get rid of any major uncertainty or ambiguity, what's known as gharar. And crucially, it protects everyone's wealth. That's ḥifẓ al-Māl, a huge objective in Sharīʿah. All of this just strengthens the ethics of the market as a whole. And here's the bottom line. The contract isn't really set in stone until that option period is over.
All right, let's start our journey through a transaction. First stop, that moment you actually make the deal. This is your immediate undo button. This one is called the option of session, or Khiyār al-Majlis, and you can literally think of it as an instant undo button. As long as you and the other person are still in the same session, you haven't physically left the room or, say, finalized the payment online, you both have the right to change your mind. It's a fantastic safeguard against those heat-of-the-moment decisions.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because not everyone agrees on this. You've got the Shafi'i and Hanbali schools of thought, and they absolutely recognize this undo button. They base it on a hadith that says both parties have the right to cancel as long as they haven't physically separated. But then you have the Hanafi and Maliki schools, and they see it differently. They argue that the moment you have that offer and acceptance, that verbal agreement, the contract is binding. It's a fundamental disagreement about when a deal truly becomes final.
Okay, but what if you need a little more time to think things over? Maybe you want to get an expert opinion, or just sleep on it. Well, there's an option for that too, one that you actually write into the contract itself.
This is the option of condition, or Khiyār al-Sharṭ. This is basically a formal cooling off period. You and the seller agree right up front on a specific amount of time, maybe a day, maybe 3 days, where either of you can confirm or cancel the contract. This gives you that breathing room to do your homework, check the value, and just make sure it's the right move without any pressure.
But this cooling off period brings up another fascinating legal question. Who actually owns the thing during this time? The Hanafi and Maliki schools say, nope, ownership does not transfer until the deal is confirmed. So the risk stays with the seller. But the Shafi'i and Hanbali schools say, well, ownership transfers right away, but the buyer keeps the right to revoke the sale. It's a subtle difference for sure, but it has big implications for who's responsible if something happens to the item during that option period.
So, let's say the cooling off period is over. You've made the purchase, you take the item home, but then you find a problem. Is that it? Are you stuck? Not at all. There are still safeguards in place.
And this one is a huge deal for consumer protection. It's called the option of defect, or Khiyār al-ʿAyb. It's your right to cancel a deal or get some compensation if you find a hidden defect that seriously reduces the item's value. We're talking about a flaw that was already there when you bought it, but the seller didn't tell you about it.
Now, you can't just use this for any little scratch. There are some clear conditions. First, the defect had to exist before the sale. Second, the seller didn't disclose it. And third, it has to be a significant flaw, something that really impacts the item's value or how you can use it. So this is for major undisclosed problems, not just minor imperfections.
Okay, here's a more unique one. The option of determination, or Khiyār al-Tayin. Just imagine this. A merchant shows you 3 different shirts, all for the same price, and says, take your pick. You have 24 hours to decide which one you want. That's what this option formalizes. The deal is for one of those items, and you just get a set amount of time to determine which specific one it'll be. It's not about canceling the whole deal, it's about finalizing your choice from a set selection.
And this next one, wow, it is so incredibly relevant for how we all live and shop today. It's the option of sight, Khiyār al-Ru'ya. This is the right you have to confirm or cancel a contract for something you bought without ever seeing it in person. Sound familiar? Yep, this is the core principle that protects you every time you buy something online based on just a photo and a description.
So, we've talked about all these different options, but why does any of this matter to you today? Let's connect these ancient ideas to the world we live in right now. You're going to see that they're absolutely everywhere. I mean, really, how can these thousand-year-old rules possibly apply in, say, 2026? It might seem like they're from a totally different era, but you'd be amazed how often you use these concepts without even knowing it. They're basically the ethical DNA of a lot of our modern consumer rights.
Just think about it. Those lemon laws for defective cars or the warranty on your new smartphone, that's basically Khiyār al-ʿAyb, the option of defect. What about those option to purchase clauses in real estate or those 30-day free trial periods for software? That's Khiyār al-Sharṭ, the option of condition. And of course, the big one, those 7-day or 30-day return policies on e-commerce sites. That is a perfect modern-day example of Khiyār al-Ru'ya, the option of sight. See? These principles are alive and kicking.
All right, you've been listening patiently. Now it's time for a quick knowledge check. We've covered a lot, so let's see if you can put it all together. Okay, question number 1. What is the primary reason, the main goal of having these options, or khiyar, in Islamic contracts? Is it A, B, C, or D? Think back to that core philosophy we talked about right at the beginning.
Question 2. Picture this. You just bought something online. It arrives, you open the box, and you decide you want to send it back using their 7-day return policy. Which type of khiyar is that a modern example of? And our last question, number 3. Which option gives you the right to cancel a contract if you discover a big, undisclosed flaw after the sale is already complete? Which one is your safety net for hidden defects?
So, what have you got? Go ahead and drop your answers for questions 1, 2, and 3 in the comments below. We'd seriously love to see what you think and get a conversation going.
And we're going to leave you with this really powerful idea that just sums it all up. Consent is invalid without knowledge. Every single one of these options, every rule we've discussed, it all comes back to this one central goal: to make sure that any agreement you enter into is based on real, genuine, and fully informed consent. It's all about fairness.